Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake in what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated. An email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement. Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy. Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, well stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there.
Кто вы?
He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart."
Я сейчас, друзья, специально...
By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left to hold to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out, and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. As so many of these videos show, darkness is a recipe for the scariest things imaginable. Posted by YouTuber Ricardo Costa in June of 2009, the uploader writes, "A strange shape is spotted at dawn at the Santos Dumont building. In the first pass, it is possible to see only a spectrum without a definite shape, but something that resembles some type of animal, but then it is possible to see a more concrete form of a creature. Never imagined, and still realized that one more accompanies it in a quick jump and soon after disappears without a trace or idea of what they were. In the clip, some men are sitting in the dark when beyond them, a figure is seen moving quickly past. What that figure is, you can't really tell, as its movements are too quick and there is little light. As the men all jump up to pursue the creature, you glimpse it again for a brief moment as it crawls past a sliver of light in the room. It looks like it's doing a bear crawl. They wander around in the darkness a bit longer, searching for the creature, but it seems to have disappeared, or perhaps it's in hiding. Some in the comments suggest it's a feral being, possibly even the rake. What do you think it is? Whether human or not, seeing and hearing something move like this in the darkness would certainly make me freak out." Annie Bennett and her boyfriend move into this old farmhouse 2.5 years ago and have been experiencing a lot of strange happenings ever since, particularly in this blue dining room. The instruments tend to play by themselves over the years, but for some reason this piano has been getting all of the attention lately, so it's where they decide to set up the camera. Hardly anything at all happens in part 1, which is 10 minutes long and slow enough to elicit some angry comments from people too impatient to get all the way through. But then there's some good moments that I want to point out, like how at 4 minutes and 17 seconds there's a strange light on the wall for absolutely no reason. It doesn't look like a laser pointer and it never happens again. Then the clock strikes 2:19 a.m. and mysteriously pops open. I see no string and no other way for them to have done this, but maybe you do. I suppose now is a more appropriate time to share more about the history of this farmhouse. There used to be an old woman who lived here all by herself. They say at 2:19 in the morning was the exact moment when she is said to have passed on. She was said to have been musically gifted. At 2:19 is also where the Spencer piano seemingly plays by itself. So this high note is conveniently coming from a key that's not even on camera. Obviously Annie or her boyfriend have to be sitting off to the side, or at least that's what I thought until I saw this next part. Okay, so that's not supposed to happen. I'm thinking that maybe the piano wires are worn out and old, which can sometimes cause a note to play by itself, but I don't think that's why, because nothing like this happened for a full 10 minutes prior. This tray and clock move at the same time. One of them could have pulled the tray by the corner that's off camera, sure, but the way the clocks open is something I can't explain. And as the night wears on, the spirit becomes stronger, able to play more. Please tell me this piano is one of the old-fashioned types that can play by itself. Otherwise, I have absolutely no idea how this is possible. And even if it can play by itself, I've never seen a piano that can do what it does at 5 minutes and 49 seconds. Self-playing? Maybe. Self-shutting? No way. I guess Annie could have slammed the lid shut while off camera, but after this reflection fades away like someone is sitting down, I can safely say I've officially run out of rational explanations and can only assume this to be paranormal. And I don't care if someone is sitting off camera or not, there's no way for them to play a piano with the lid on. I can't even explain half of these paranormal occurrences, so I have to conclude that this farmhouse is almost definitely haunted by someone who refuses to accept that they've passed on. Published to YouTube by Vision Paranormal in August of 2018. The channel writes in Spanish that an unidentified sense of fear was pressing upon employees at some government office in Mexico City. Some claim to have seen a monk on the grounds. The channel writes, always at dawn you can hear wailing and screaming until one day the security camera managed to capture that chilling being that scared them every night. Let's take a look. This image was captured in September of 2009 at 1:46 a.m. It appears to be a hooded paranormal figure descending the stairs and moving very slowly through the building. Could this be the so-called cursed monk who's creating such fear within? If so, what did he do to provoke such wailing and screaming? What you don't know can't hurt you, right? A TikToker named Prince of Stitches is about to go to sleep when this late night visitor takes over his spot. Moments before he lies down, the floating white smear somewhat resembles the arm and shoulder of someone sleeping on their side, perhaps someone who once passed away in this very same spot, or it could just be how the light from this mounted lamp is hitting the camera. There's a somewhat similar looking effect happening next to the lamp, shown here. Light artifacts aside, that still doesn't explain how the covers pulsate likely like the shallow breathing of someone deep asleep. Either he put something under the sheets to make them do that, exactly what I don't know, or it's time to check out and find a non-haunted hotel that won't make you room with a ghost. Something is watching Sunny and CJ during this Randonautica horror exploration, published in May of 2021. Sunny Deeds writes, on this adventure, CJ and I traveled back to the haunted Pocomoke Forest for another Randonautica adventure. We never expected this to happen. The this that Sunny is speaking of unfurls in the darkness. They tell Randonautica to bring it on and throw it at us, and are sent by the app to near a cemetery. As Sunny and CJ are outside their vehicle, an eagle-eyed commenter catches hidden people watching them. He writes that one is behind the bent branch over the ditch while the other appears to be recording them back with his or her own camera. Later, you can hear someone walking around if you listen closely. Shortly after, something is being smashed in the distance. That something turns out to be CJ's car window.
What the f was that? What was that?
When the pair return to their vehicle, they find the back window obliterated. It's absolutely shattered with no clear sign as to why. There is a sign, however, as to how. A brick sits amidst the broken glass while the pair scream into the wilderness, asking who's out there. Sunny scans around. Briefly, you can see a light flash in the distance.
It's still cracking or something. Oh my God.
Do we have the answer to who as well? Something is definitely out there, but what he wants, only Randonautica knows. Remember that footage of the raging Eagle Creek forest fire? Just imagine being in the middle of it, driving right through the very center. While driving, I can only imagine they're wondering whether or not they'll live through this horror, or maybe they've already gone to the other side. In the video, you can barely see the road as smoke rises all over and hellish fire springs up along the roadside. Sparks of embers fly across the windshield, making the viewer feel like they're in the center of a fire pit. You can also see specks of black ash flick across the window. Finally, they make it onto the main road and make a break for it. Although it's still very smoky, slowly but surely the smoke vanishes as they escape the fire zone. That was one scary and wild ride. YouTuber Riot was putting his dogs to bed when he noticed his truck's alarm lights were blinking. The dogs also seemed upset by something. That's when he checked his Ring camera, only to find this. A strange blue object is floating across the yard. The YouTuber says he didn't see it with his own eyes. It then disappears behind a tree. Well, I wanted to dismiss this as a spiderweb at the beginning. It's harder to dismiss when it seems to move away and disappear like this. So what do you think? A spider web or something more cryptic? I think it's too close to call. A YouTuber named Barbecue Thunder 7 watches in awe as huge chunks of hail fall from the sky, landing with the force of solid rock. When it finally starts to calm down, he summons his courage and steps outside for a closer look. Hail is still falling periodically at this point and could get him at any moment. Some of them landed with such impact that now they are buried deep into the ground, and if you have any doubt as to how much danger he was in, these are the holes in his roof from the bad weather. If it can do this to a roof, imagine what it could do to his head. A man is quietly fishing by himself, making content for his fishing channel called East Coast Fishing Adventures, completely unaware that he is being watched from afar. Partially concealed in the leaves is a person who is not with him and doesn't have a fishing rod. They just sit on a rock and don't move at all, just watching. The uploader gets the feeling that this is a ghost sighting, and it makes me wonder if he's sitting at the spot where somebody went under and sadly never resurfaced. Chris and Joe from YouTube channel Sees Crazy Crossroads are exploring an abandoned plantation mansion with a truly dark history, and it's about to come to life. Inside, Joe thinks he hears something.
I thought I heard something. I thought I heard something. Maybe it's the wind blowing through the house.
As they continue their tour through the house, they hear whispers in the wind. Listen closely.
Lots of wind blowing through here, guys.
Did you hear it too? Chris also heard something slam upstairs.
This place is freaky, bro.
I heard something else bang. It's too, distinctive. It sounded like something slammed. I feel so much better down here because the floor.
And this was perhaps the most audible noise captured by the guys.
Hey, what was that? Chris, what was that?
Right over here.
Something just fell.
Something fell. I moved that door, but.
Okay, I don't think it was the door. I just heard something go clink.
As they wander apart, Joe hears some more loud noise from the other room.
First, I'm gonna check through everything. Chris, you okay? I just heard something fall again. I don't know. That was weird, man.
The team is then not so subtly told to leave.
I welcome you.
Back upstairs, the guys think they hear someone enter the house.
I think somebody walked in the house. That's true. What is that?
While using a paranormal device, they hear another loud, distant bang.
What was that, man? That was a loud bang again.
They go to check out what it is, and this happens.
Dude, this is where we heard the noise. This door just moved and that. No, that's awesome. Dude, these doors, both of them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope not, but it could be.
Do you think this is just the wind?
Show me you're real.
It's moving. What the hell?
That's awesome. My camera's about to die. All right, so guys.
Although it could be, I feel like this is too on point to be anything but paranormal. It seems like whatever is here is responding to Chris and Joe's commands. This tells me they want to make their presence known. A YouTuber named Justin Brown has been seeing odd-looking people living in tents near his hometown. In Lompoc, California. He is too nervous to investigate the situation in person, so he sends his drone over for a closer look. Imagine Justin's surprise when he discovers an entire colony of strangers living on a riverbed less than a mile from his home. He has no idea who they are, what they want, or why they are so close to a suburban neighborhood, which doesn't seem particularly special in any way. Also, no one can seem to figure out what this mysterious blinking blue light is. Take a look at the way it keeps flashing persistently, and tell me what kind of technology you think it could be. Maybe together we can figure out who lives here and their purpose. A YouTuber named Tubaruba claims to have obtained this video from a friend who goes to the Folk High School in Arkansas. It's late at night when a heavy cart full of cleaning equipment starts doing something all by itself that should not be possible. According to the uploader, the cart continues down the hall past 3 classrooms before coming to a stop and never moving again. The description of this video says the cart is too heavy to be pulled across the floor with a string, but I think it's entirely possible given the highly polished appearance of the floor. There's a good possibility that this video might be staged, but given the lack of witnesses or more video evidence than this one angle, there's just no way to know for sure. A small kayak is completely dwarfed by an enormous shark that's not too far away. The shark begins to turn towards the kayaker and make a pass at them, though it's unclear whether the shark was hungry or just curiously investigating its surroundings. Either way, the uploader of this video estimates the shark to be over 40 feet long based on the average size of a kayak. Sometimes being deep underwater can make objects look much bigger than they really are. However, here you can see that the shark is close enough to the surface for its fin to break the water, so its size is not being exaggerated at all. From what I understand, sharks don't usually come to the surface unless they see something of interest, so maybe it really was going to eat the kayaker. I'm not sure about the geographic location of this video, but it appears to have been taken from some sort of helicopter, perhaps one belonging to the National Coast Guard of whichever country is claiming these waters as its territory. Unfortunately, the video ends before we get to see the kayaker's fate. Of course, this uploader could just be skilled at video editing. Let me know what you make of this one. This video is also posted on my Chills Narrator subreddit by a user named Bbors. Whenever they find themselves at this particular highway intersection, their Lexus starts beeping out of control.
Okay, this intersection, it always happens here.
These innovative car sensors are designed to alert the driver when someone is in front of the car. No one is anywhere near them, but here you see both of the yellow arrows are lit, meaning it detects someone straight ahead. Seconds later, you can see the right arrow is on, which means that someone is now moving to the right. I just wanted to stress that this never happens at any other intersections, only this one. And according to Bbors, this event has occurred 4 times in the past 2 years alone. With this evidence in mind, this intersection could definitely be the haunting ground of someone who didn't make it across the road in one piece. Does this man have an unwanted paranormal roommate? Published in January of 2021, this individual woke up to doors slamming and got up to check it out. The man says this is a frequent occurrence.
My door just slammed again. There's no windows open in the house at all.
As he looks around the house, his roommate, Brad, asks if he's the one slamming the door.
Hey,
No.
He answers in the negative and continues his search, revealing that only he and Brad are home. After a moment, the table in the middle of the living room floor jerks toward him on its own.
It wasn't me, man. I didn't even touch it.
He watches the table for a bit, while Brad seems completely unconcerned and out of it. The cameraman shows that there are no cords around or attached to the table that he could have tripped over. The only cords are to the Nintendo remote controls, but they are in front of the table. So how did this table move so aggressively? There must be spirits abound in this haunted home. As we all know, ghosts can walk through walls. Here's video proof, published by Full Horror Dose in April of 2022. This scary footage was captured on CCTV in the hall of what appears to be a school building. In one of the cameras, a woman is seen in the hallway. She turns toward the wall and after pausing for a moment, walks right on through it. On closer inspection, there doesn't appear to be a doorway, elevator, or any entry here to explain her seeming disappearance. The way she moves so tentatively is also strange, and her figure vanishes right into the flat surface. What do you think? Is this a real ghost in action? If not that or clever editing, what could possibly be going on in this building? Austin is nervous with anticipation over exploring the haunted Windsor Hotel in Georgia, a 24-hour paranormal investigation challenge that will leave all of them freaked out soon enough. A young person once fell down an elevator shaft in the early 1900s, and the place has been haunted ever since. Her ghost has been seen in hotel mirrors. Objects often move on their own. Austin isn't sure if he believes the paranormal rumors until weird things are caught on camera they've left running overnight. Keys and a wallet fall off the dresser while everyone is asleep. Both objects are planted securely on an even surface and have no reason to drop unless it was a ghost or a string. I don't see either, so I'm not sure what to think about this video at this point, but things are creepy so far. One of them wakes up and goes over to investigate the bizarre occurrence. What's caught on camera next is downright strange. As they are picking up the wallet and keys, a lamp clicks off. The noise sounds exactly like the button on their lamp.
You heard? Listen. You can literally hear the flick. Something had to literally physically turn that off, bro.
So there's no doubt that a lamp turns on, but the question or not is if it's the one that's in front of them. If there were 4 beds in this room, then I feel like there would be a second lamp behind them off camera. Maybe they were turning that one off to make the clicking noise. Still, an overwhelming number of people agree this is paranormal. 682 to 15 as of the time of this video, and given the hotel's haunted history, I trust in what they saw and wouldn't be surprised if it was real. What would you do if you came across this chilling scene at night? Well, because there's a sign on the side of the road that reads "Free Cat." If it's there to lure unsuspecting people in, it's done its job. As these 3 stop their car to check out the makeshift animal shelter, as the trio approach the sign, they realize they're looking at something truly horrifying on a dark, deserted road at night. They conclude that whoever did this put the cats there because they're psycho. Couldn't agree more. Get out of there as fast as humanly possible. Fishing is supposed to be a relaxing pastime. Kick back with your pole and a cold one, and you're set for a pleasant afternoon spent out on the water. But this video, posted on Reddit by Caesar4321, reveals that fishing can sometimes take an unexpected turn. The clip shows a lucky fisherman reeling in his prize catch, a nice little fish which he pulls out onto the banks of the pond in order to remove it from the line. But as he steps closer to his catch, something pops up out of nowhere. Bet you didn't see that coming. Redditor iMoosker commented, "They are fishing in literal croc swamps, like they aren't asking for chomps." asking for it or not, alligator incidents are on the rise in Florida. Moral of the story? Don't disturb those muddy waters, or your bones may be snapped in half by some seriously powerful jaws. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.